activities involved along with the education or classroom teaching. And everything, whatever activity we do, there are certain environmental footprints involved with that. And today we are going to see and discuss that, okay, how can, what kind of approach we can have by which we can make the entire thing a little bit more sustainable. So the major content what I'll be covering today would be a little bit of introduction about green audits, what are their objectives, scopes, benefits. Then the important thing to discuss is stages of green audit, like how to do that, and what are the things to be included, what are the different phases in that. Then the challenges, of course, and the best practices, what can be done while doing the green audit. And then when we are reporting, when we are preparing a report, or we are reporting a performance of a particular institute, then what kind of structure can be followed, to make the document a little bit more informative. And then finally, we'll try to cover everything up and sum everything up with the help of a case study and by showing you a report. So this is how they're going to be the outline of the today's presentation. So starting with the basic concept of the green audit. So certain things, certain words are there which actually give their information about the information by just pronouncing it. So when we say green audit, so audit, I think everybody understands. There are so many type of audit, and financial audits are the most common one which everybody would be familiar with. So when we say green audit, it is basically an independent assessment. So the primary thing is independent assessment. The first word is independent assessment. Means the person who are involved in the audit or audit process, they have to be independent. They should not have any kind of conflict, we can say, or direct relationship with the institute. So suppose I belong to UPL University of Sustainable Technology, then it doesn't matter, what kind of expert I am of environment or how much experience I have in auditing and all. I cannot do audit of my own organization. I can carry out an internal audit, but the final audit, what you call it as a green audit, it has to be by an independent agency. So it has to be independent assessment, which is conducted to evaluate an educational institution's environmental performance. Means how they are doing on the environmental front, how they are taking care of their waste, how they are taking care of their water consumption, how they are taking care of their energy consumption. So it is basically we are evaluating an educational institute's environmental performance, their resource utilization, and their compliance with the environmental regulations. So this is a lump sum, or on an average, I can say we can summarize within 2 lines what are the activities and what are the purposes of green audit. So how on the environmental front an institute is performing, and how better it can perform, that we try to analyze during the process of green audit. Now, whenever we are doing any activity, it's very much important to define the objectives, because all our activities revolves, or we plan our activity in order to fulfill those objectives. So when we are carrying out, say just for example, I would say that suppose we are doing a kind of environmental audit. So it is very important for us to identify the objective of that audit. Do we want to analyze the environmental quality? Is that the objective? Or we want to make a compliance report? Is that the objective? Do we want to make a comparison? We want to see a trend report? Is that the objective? So what exactly the objective is? Do we want to have a comparison with our peers? Is that the objective? So depending on the objective, basically, we define our activities and how we are going to proceed with the activities. So the objectives, the overall objectives of the green audit, the first one is assess the institution environmental impact and carbon footprint. Means whatever activities the institute is involved in. So it can be a single institute, it can be a university having multiple institutes. So it can have several type of activities they are doing. Say for example, Right now, the education institutes are not only in the education; they are actually having a lot of other consultancy businesses, R&D processes going on, and several other things they are involved. Especially if we talk about the big institutes like NITs, IITs. So professors are involved in so many consultancy projects of industries and all. So basically, all these activities when they are considered, then we have to break them down and see how or what kind of environmental impact, whether it is positive or negative. So it can be positive also. It is not just that when we say the word audit, it does not mean that we are trying to find out loopholes, or we are trying to figure out these are negative points. Basically, we have to identify all type of impact, whether it is positive or negative. If they are positive, how can we enhance them in future? If they are negative, then what kind of measures can be taken to reduce them? So the first objective of the green audit would be to assess the environmental impact and what is the carbon footprint of that institution. Then identifying the area of improvement, as I told, when there are negative, when there are loopholes, when there are drawbacks, when there are gaps, we have to identify where it can be improved, how it can be improved, how the resource conservation can be achieved. Then enhance sustainable practices on the campus and in academic operations, and promote environmental awareness and educating among students and staff. Because see, green audit is not a thing which 2 or 3 people collectively would do. It would not make any sense. It would not make any purpose if each and every person of that institute and university is not involved in that. So they have to be actively involved. Then only they will be aware. Then only they will feel the responsibility. Then only the purpose of the audit would be served. So it is not just making a report that okay, these are my emissions, this is my water consumption reports, these are my wastewater consumption reports, and we are just compiling the data and we are producing a report out of it. So there is no meaning of doing this kind of activity and spending a lot of money on that. It serves the purpose if only the people involved, they understand the importance and they want to take further corrective actions, and they feel a sense of responsibility towards any kind of impact, environmental impact they're creating through their activities. So these are the basic objectives of doing green audit. Depending on your organization, the way you are doing, definitely you may add on few more objectives or you may reduce a few of the objectives. So when we have understood, okay, this is a green audit, overall, this is the picture, this is what we are going to do, and this should be the objective. The next thing towards carrying out the green audit is for the fixing up the scope. When we say fixing up the scope or defining the scope, what does it mean? It means, as I told that, okay, it may not be an institution only, it may be a big university having different campuses or different, schools running in the same premises. And it may or may not happen that you are going to conduct the entire process in one. It may happen that you may plan to go in phase wise, or you may plan to have cover certain activities or certain aspect of your institution or university, and you are planning, okay, in 2 years or 3 years I'll be completing it, or maybe I'll do it first for an initial phase. Let me understand the process, let me make a roadmap for this particular phase. Once I understand it completely, then we will implement it to the other unit. So it may be anything, and there is no obligation that okay, this is how you have to do it, this much you have. There is no obligation in that. So basically, first you need to understand what do you want to do, why you want to do, what are your objectives, and then you define the scope. What are the buildings, what are the activities you are going to include in that order. So once the scope is clear, then maybe probably you can proceed first. Not benefits. Why to do green audit? Doing any kind of activity, this type of activity, it involves a lot of money. It needs a lot of money to get carrying out this type of activities. And the major benefits which are involved in the carrying out green audits are: first one is campus sustainability. It means you are lowering the environmental impact, you are reducing the resource consumption. Then educational opportunities. So Here, basically, when we say education opportunities, it means there will not be only faculty who are involved in this process. There will be students also who will be part and parcel of the entire process. So basically, when you carry out this kind of process, you are inculcating these fundamentals into the students, that why this sustainability is important, why this environmental footprinting we need to reduce. So these kind of principles and fundamentals you are inculcating into the younger generation. And definitely when you do something and when you show something to the students, those are the best way of teaching, instead of just telling certain things in the class and you are not actually doing it. So we talk about rainwater harvesting, we talk about biogas generation, and we are teaching our students, okay, these are the standard practices, but we are actually not doing it. Then it doesn't make any sense, and they will also not just take it lightly. But when you actually do it, and when you actually show it, it makes the best impact on the students. Then, of course, student engagement and definitely institutional reputation. It is a great thing to do, that it shows that this institution is very much responsible about their social responsibilities. Can contribute towards the global efforts to combat the climate change. Right now, everyone is talking about climate change. How can we reverse this impact? How can we reduce our carbon footprint? So maybe this would be the very first small step which can be taken from the institutes towards combating this climate change. Now, going towards the stage of the green audit. So these are the different stages. The first one is preparation and planning, data collection, analysis and assessment, identification of opportunities and challenges, recommendations and action plan, reporting and communication, implementation and monitoring, then last, continuous. So see, in entire these stages, basically for any audit, it can be divided into three parts. One is pre-audit activities. Second is audit activities, the major audit activities, and those then last one is post-audit activities. So all these steps or stages can also be divided in these three categories. Now, when we say preparation and planning, or when we say data collection, so there would be both the parties involved, the auditors and the auditors. So there would be few auditors who would be coming, but they will not directly come to your place to start the audit. Initially, there would be meetings to understand the scope, to discuss the scope, what are the things to be done, how it is to be planned, when to visit. So those type of preparation and plannings are required at the initial stage. Then there are certain data would be required. So all the data would not be collected at the site itself. It is to be, provided to the auditors before the site visit can be planned. Then comes your analysis and assessment part. This is mainly done by the auditor. Then comes identification of opportunities and challenges. This has to be done simultaneously. Recommendation and action plan simultaneously. Reporting and communication, more it goes towards the auditor part. Then implementation and monitoring, again, it is measured from the auditee part, the institution parts. Continuous improvement, again, from the auditee part, in institutions part. So if you are doing it as an obligation, okay, I require it in the land, that's why you are doing it. It doesn't make any sense. Do it only if you want to do some improvement in the environmental purpose. And if you are doing it for that purpose, definitely you need to monitor that purpose. You need to monitor that improvement. But okay, my performance was this much this year, say in 2023. What are my targets in 2024? And at the end of the year, you have to then check whether you have completed your target or not. Then only this all activity, the entire activity would have something. So now what we'll do in the upcoming slide, we'll discuss these different stages in detail. So starting with the first one. First is your preparation. So preparation and planning, as I discussed, that you have to first define the objectives, why you are doing it, scope, where you are doing it, what are the activities which you have to involve. Then assemble a team of the auditors. Definitely it has to be a third party auditor who are the auditor. You have to fix them up, and the team has to be decided. And they should have sufficient experience or expertise in that field. Then you have to determine the data collection methods. I told you that there are certain data which you have to provide before starting the audit. The auditors would study your data, and accordingly they will prepare their mind. Okay, okay, this is what I have to go and see, this is what I have to go and check. So we have to determine the data collection methods. What are the data which have to provide initially? What are the data which will be collected on the site? What is going to be the timeline? What is going to be the duration of the audit? It cannot go, entire year. So you have to decide the timeline. That suppose I'm conducting this audit in 2023, then probably my data would be of 2022. I will be auditing the data of 2022 because 23 is already going on. I cannot have the entire data of this year. So previous data I'll be taking, and then I can verify this year data, whatever month have been passed by. I can just verify that data, and I can check, okay, how better you have performed in 2023. But definitely you have to first define that what timeline we are going to audit, and then what are the resources would be required. So these are the pre-planning basically. Yeah, suppose I am an auditor and suppose I have to travel to your institute, which is say in Maharashtra. Right now I'm in Gujarat. So what are the resources would be required? I may ask, okay, fine, what are the lodging, putting lodging facility you are going to provide, whether transportation is there or not. When I come to your site, who is going to accompany me, for the site visit? Who is going to provide me all the data? Who is a coordinator for this? So all these are the resources which you have to initially plan. Then definitely notify the key stakeholders, because when you go to the institutes, so it may not be necessary that all the necessary persons are present at that very day. They may be on leave. And if we talk about the management people, usually, they come once in a week or twice in a week. So you have to inform everybody in well in advance, so that when you are planning a visit, site visit, they are available and the necessary conversation or discussion can take place. So this is about a preparation and planning. Then comes the major part, that is data collection. So relevant data has to be collected. Now, what type of data? So it may be related to energy consumption, because it is an integral part of your audit. The water usage, water consumption, wastewater generation, what are the emissions you are doing, and other kind of environmental aspects such as solid waste management, your kitchen waste, your sewage, your effluent which is being produced from the laboratory, how you are managing that. So there could be different aspects on which you may need data. So first you have to identify what type of data you want, what type of data you want the institution to provide you in the initial phase, and what type of data you want to go to the site and take post-survey. Then collect information about the institution sustainability, whether you have some policies on environment or not. What are the standard practices you are doing? What are the initiatives you have taken in this direction? Then using surveys and interviews. So interviews you can simply just go and talk with a couple of faculty members, couple of students, to understand that how this institute is actually practicing these sustainability fundamentals of the standards, how they are following it in actually day-to-day business. So those kind of things can be done. So certain data can be collected on site, certain data can be collected off site. Then now, okay, fine. Now the data has been collected. You have got all the data for whatever topics we discussed in the earlier topic. What to do with that data? So the data is of no use if you are not extracting any information out of it. So you have to analyze that data. So when we say analyze the data, what does it mean? Say I consume certain amount of water in last year, and my water consumption has increased this year. Okay, so why this has happened? What was the reason behind it? So the reason could be earlier I had maybe only 4 courses. This year I started 3 more courses. Now I have total of 7 courses. Earlier I had only 4 courses. So when the courses started, more courses started, more students are coming. So definitely if the more student would be there on site, the water consumption is going to increase. It is understood, well understood. So if your water consumption has increased or reduced, it has to be well justified. So that analysis has to be done. And overall, if the water consumption is increased or decreased depending on the people on the site, what about a specific water consumption? Means water consumed by one person. So what it would be, total amount of water consumed in entire year divided by the total number which are there in the university. So that would be a specific water consumption. Similarly, what is the specific energy consumption? Whether it has been increased or decreased, because that actually gives you the idea of the sustainability practices. So if your institution is taking necessary steps to reduce their environmental footprint, your specific water consumption, your specific energy consumption, it needs to go down. So that type of trend you can analyze that in past 10 years how your institute has performed, on last 5 years how it has been performing. So that type of analysis you can do here. Definitely just number would not be enough in that case. So we have to prepare some kind of bar chart and pie chart. It will immediately give you the glimpse of the trend, how your institute has been performing on environmental upfront. Then the next stage is identification of opportunities and challenges. So now once you have analyzed the data, now you know, okay, how is this institute is performing. Then you can find out the opportunity. Okay, fine. Right now, they are using normal bulbs. If they switch to, LED bulb or something, then maybe performance can be improved. Maybe your street lights can be solar panel driven. So that type of opportunities you can find out. And when you talk about opportunities, definitely there are going to be certain challenges also. So we will not just talk about only one type of it, but only positive aspects or only negative aspects. We have to see both the things. So when we're talking about opportunities, we also have to see what are the challenges for that. So, okay. Everybody know the technology aspects. Definitely we will put solar panel. Our energy footprints can be brought down. But what about the funds required for that? So that is one of the challenge. What about the convincing the management? Our management manta hi nahi hai. We have already proposed this so many times, but they are not agreeing with it. So that is one of the challenge. So identification of the opportunities and the challenges, that is the next step. And auditors and auditee have to sit together and identify these two aspects. Then definitely the recommendation action plan, that is to be done by the auditors. So they have heard from the auditee side, they have analyzed the data, and they know, okay, fine, this can be done, these are the opportunities. They have discussed it with the auditee, why you have not been able to do that up till now, what are your issues. They have analyzed that. So based on this previous topics or chapters, then you have to tell the recommendations that to improve your environmental performance in coming next year. These are the things which you can do to reduce your energy consumption, water consumption, and whatsoever. Then comes your reporting and communication part. So again, this has to be done by the auditors only, based on the data collected, based on the analysis done. Then you have to prepare your final report, and you have to communicate it with the management and with the stakeholders, staff, students, and everything. And then seventh, that is implementation and monitoring. This has to be done by the audit, by the institution. That okay, recommendation has been given by the auditor, but again, to implement it, it is in the hand of the institution. Whether they want to do it or not, if they want to do, how they want to do, how much time they require to do all the, or to take all that action. What is their intention to do that, and even if they are doing, how they are going to monitor, because doing just one-time audit is not enough. We need to have some follow-up audit also. So the person you have hired for the audit, the same person you should hire for the follow-up audit, so that they can just check up how basic, whatever plan we have for improvement, whether you are following it with the same pace or not. Do we need to improve that? Do we need to change our pattern, or any kind of improvement is required or not? So that type of monitoring is also required. Then only you will get the continuous improvement. So any kind of audit activity, basically it is intended to do the continuous improvement. It should not be done only one time. It should not be done only 1 year. Every time, every year you need to check on that okay, what type of changes have been done in my organization, how my boundaries have been improved or expanded, what kind of fundamentals or what kind of practices I can incorporate right now, which I was not able to do last year, but probably now I can do that. So all those things have to be done from the audit side, from the institution side, and definitely the auditor can be a partner who can give you the guidance, right guidance to go into the right direction. So these are the basic stages of a green audit, how it should be done. Now, any of the stages can be clubbed. This is not a standard way. But okay, 8 stages are only honi chahiye, 7 stages hona chahiye. There is not a standard way. These are the key stages. If you want, you can club. You can make 5 stages out of it, you can make 4 stages out of it, but these are the major activities which are to be covered while doing the green audit. Now, overcoming challenges in implementing eco-friendly measures. So we know, see, as I told you, everybody knows that, okay, if we put a solar panel, definitely it is going to reduce your energy consumption. If you are going to put say biogas plant, definitely it is, going to manage a solid waste in the battery. We know that. But still, we are not able to do that. Why? Because there are certain challenges in any organization. There will be certain challenges. So the first one is initial investment. कहाँ से पैसा कहाँ से आएगा? Who will do it? Why to do it? So here, certain times this type of issues come because we are not able to rightly predict. We take it as a liability. This much expenditure is there. So actually, we have to do the calculation. The one who is taking the initiative. First, you do your homework properly. You have to show to the management or to the right people that actually putting money into this kind of environmental measures, it is not an expenditure, it is actually an investment. And you are going to get multi times, a refund after a certain time period. So that type of thing you have to first show and convince your management so that you can get this initial investment. Behavior change is very, very important aspect, not only into the institutes, not only the institute or industry, even if you are doing something at community level or anything like that, then also behavior aspect is a very important thing. So you cannot force somebody to put their waste into the dustbin. So you cannot just be after anybody and just see how they are doing, how well they are doing on environmental front. So first you have to bring that behavior change. You have to guide the people in right way. You have to bring awareness. You have to do a capacity building among all the stakeholders, whether they are a student or a staff. And once they are convinced, yes, we have to do it, then only this kind of activities would have certain positive impact. Otherwise, it would just be wastage of time and money, nothing else. Then stakeholder resistance can sometimes there can be this type of challenges. Then again, that what I told earlier, that you have to convince them. Then only this kind of problems can be overcome. Infrastructure limitations, yes, it can be there. So I may have enough space to put different kind of facility. You may not have. So that kind of issues can be there. So whatever I am doing, it is 100%, it may not be applicable to you. So depending on the different situation, you have to analyze what is applicable to you, and according to you have to make a cost-effective plan for yourself. And yeah, funding and resources. So this basically this is done by the management itself. How to get the funds. So number of times there are different sponsors available, industries available. We just have to approach the right person in the right time, and definitely there are way out. There are certain government policies also. Suppose you want to put a solar panel, and also there are certain subsidies available. So government is also helping this type of activities, and there are certain grants available. There are many industries who are there to support this type of environmental initiatives. So funding and resources, yes, it is a challenge, but you, your team, your management can sit together, and then you can make a phase-wise plan that altogether we do not have this much budget. Maybe in the first year we will do this much, in second year we will do this much, and this is how it can be done. But definitely first there has to be initiative. There has to be intention to do. Now, best practices in conducting green audits. So best practices means, what is a good thing which you can do to make your green audits more effective. So the first one is establish clear-cut objectives. So initially I discussed a lot on that why defining objective is very much important. Why defining the scope is very much important. So because if you do not have a clear objective, how will you take follow-ups in the upcoming year? So you need to have objectives. Clear-cut objectives, and engaging the stakeholder, again, it is very much important. So just 3 or 4 people from the environment department, if they decide, okay, we are going to do this, it doesn't make any sense. Each and every person of the institution should be equally involved. They should know why we are doing it, what we are doing. Then data collection and analysis. Data collection is an integral part of green audit, but right data should come, the reliable data should come. Randomly anything, say first there should be clear understanding of the data. So when we are saying energy consumptions, you should be able to identify, what are the sources you are including. If you are talking about any type of thing, water consumption or anything. You need to know from where to take that data, whether they are giving the right data or not correct data. Otherwise, there will be a wrong comparison if you have taken the data from the wrong source. Involved experts, yes, definitely we should have a clear-cut roadmap. So initially, when we start, usually we don't have ideas of what we are doing or how to do that, from where to understand. So if there would be one or two experts in your team, definitely you will have a clear understanding, and you will be able to reach to your goal in a shorter period of time. Regular audit, I already told, just doing one-time audit is not enough. There should be follow-up audit, and that will give you a continuous thrust to perform or do better and better every time. Their integration into curriculum is also very important. Students are, they are your arms. So if you are guiding your students in right way, integrating sustainability aspects into the curriculum, telling them why it is important, so you can get an active support from the students. So these are the few of the steps. If you do them rightly, if you incorporate rightly in your green audit, definitely the outcome is going to be more fun. So this is about a little bit I discussed about green audits, how to do that. So now a little bit about the report, that what should be there into the report. Shortly we will discuss it, and then I'll show you one of the reports. So you can just correlate whether all the things are there or not. Again, this is not a standard structure that it has to be this way. There has to be these many chapters. You can club anything. So just for the sake of understanding, I have divided the structure in these chapters. You may definitely have more or less chapters. First one is executive summary. That is important because all the stakeholders, every time they may not have time to go through a 70-60 page study time to read a 60-70 page report. So 1 page or 2 page executive summary, it will give you a clear idea. So basically, what is the executive summary? It will give you an overview of the audit objectives. What were the objectives? What was the scope? What were the key findings? What were the highlights? What were the recommendations? So the overall summary you will get from this first chapter. Then second would be introduction, means the introduction of the higher educational institute. What type of institute it is? How many schools are there in that institute? How many buildings are there? How many students are there? How many staff are there? What are the facilities there? So that type of introduction can be given. Then after reading this chapter, one get idea, okay, this type of environmental footprint can be expected. What is from this type of activity? So all the things should be elaborately included in the introduction. It will also include, the introduction will also include if the institute is involved, apart from teaching, if they are involved in any other kind of activity, then that would also be mentioned in the introduction chapter. Then comes the important part, that is environmental performance. So when during the audit part, when we were discussing about data collection and analysis, so all that part comes under environmental performance and review in the report part. You can name the chapter in any way you want. You can simply name it data collection. That is totally up to you. But the data collection part would come here. That what is the data you have collected, what type of trends you have established, what are the information you have extracted. So data related to energy, water usage, water generation, carbon emission, waste generation, any kind of initiatives if you have taken, say plantation you have done, any kind of awareness campaigning you have done, any kind of cleanliness drive you have done. So any kind of initiative regarding sustainability if you have taken, so everything would come in your environmental performance review. Means what kind of footprints you have had, what initiatives you have taken, what you were intending to do, how much budget you have, for this type of activity, how much expenditure you have done in this environmental fund. So all these things would come to environmental performance review. Then comes the sustainability strength and the challenges. So based on this previous chapter, now comes their strength. So maybe a good huge environmental section or department if you have, who is taking regular steps to reduce environmental footprint, that would be one of your strengths. If you are having biogas plant and you are reducing the environmental footprint by treating your solid waste. That could be one of your strengths. And then there could be definitely challenges also. So maybe lack of technical experts can be one of the challenges. So there could be challenges, and it would be unique for a different universities or institutions. So you have to identify what are your strengths, because strength give you motivation. And then you have to identify challenges. You have to prepare yourself for the challenges, and then you have to prepare a roadmap for that. So then the next chapter should be recommendations, where based on the performance, environmental performance, based on the strength and the challenges, then the auditor, they will then use their expertise, and then they will give you recommendations that okay, based on the everything, whatever the current scenario is, whatever the positive points you have, whatever the negative points you have, these are the things which we suggest you as an expert that okay, you should go further in this direction. That way you can improve your environmental performance. So the recommendation is solely it is given by the experts or the auditors which have been involved in the entire process. Then based on that, the action plan should be prepared. Now, preparing the action plan, it is to be done by the institute part. So when the recommendations are given, or when the gaps are identified, or let's say the weaknesses are identified, the challenges are identified, then the auditor and auditee, then they analyze, and then they plan, okay, fine. This is going to be our action plan for next 2 years or 3 years, and that has to be included. So there could be short-term goals, long-term goals. Immediately, this is what we are going to do. After 1 year, this is what we are going to do. All these things should be different. And definitely, the last one is the conclusion. Conclusion means it will now summarize the entire activity, whatever have been done, what have been the key findings from that. And if the actions would be taken, this is how the future will be after 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. So this kind of thing would be included in your concluding part. So this is the overall guideline about the report, how the report should be structured. And I'll just give you a glimpse of the report of our own university. So last year we did our green audit, and I'll just show you the report, how it looks like. So as you can see, this is the front page. Index. The first one is executive summary, then preamble, then green audit benefits, objective, everything would come here. Then comes the data collection part. So what I told you that okay, environmental performance review. So the same thing is here, but the name is different. So you can name it whatever way you want. We have categorized into several chapters, as you can see. One is on water management, then solid waste management, then carbon neutrality, then energy conservation. So we have divided into the chapters. If you want, you can keep just one chapter as environmental performance review, and then you can break that chapter into different headings. So it is totally up to you. There is no hard and fast formatting required for that. But yeah, what is to include, that would remain same. You need to include water, you need to include energy, you need to include carbon neutrality. So these things you have to include, but the way of including that may vary. That depends on you, that depends on your auditor. Basically, this is the content. Just going through and just swiping through list of figures, list of tables, lectures, abbreviations. Yeah, here comes your executive summary. So brief summary, key finding is given over here.
Ma'am, I think you have shared the same screen. The report is not visible on
it is not visible.
You can just reshare that another tab.
Is it visible now, right now?
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, so can you just confirm me if it is moving? So I have just moved the pages.
Yes.
Can you see vision and mission right now?
Yeah, vision and mission. Right.
Yeah. Okay, all right, great. So yeah, so now we are talking about the summary. So introduction about the university now, vision, what is the vision, what are the missions, then green objectives, what were the objective, green audit objectives, what were the objectives, then what were the goals, then benefits, area details, your this layout or location map of the university. then activities, methodology, pre-audit, during audit, how the report prepared, and then comes your water management, freshwater requirements, daily average abstraction of the water from the groundwater abstraction, graphs, because by from the number you don't get the information. From the graphs immediately, or from the bar chart, you will immediately come to know, okay, if it is reducing or increasing, is there any pattern, everything will come to know. Then treatment of fresh water, how it is being done, what are the facilities we have. So here we have softeners, we have ROs. So according to your case, you can put the diagram. Then quality of fresh water. So we usually monitor the fresh water. So likewise, TDS and borewell water, conductivity, hardness, all the parameters have been mentioned. Then wastewater generation and treatment, from where it is being generated, how it is being treated. So overall diagram is shown here. And so here what we are doing, basically we are collecting all the effluent which is generated from the laboratories, because we have chemical laboratories and a lot of effluent is generated. So we collect them into this kind of tank, and then we send the tankers for the treatment. So this type of activities we are doing. So information about that. Then rainwater harvesting. So we have a good system of rainwater harvesting over here. So year-wise, how much rainfall was there, how much recharge has been done. The map of that recharge process. The different photographs of showing the bore where the recharge is being done. The data on that, different bore wheels, how the earlier was the situation, how the before situation, how the after situation, that is given in different bore. Again, the data of level of water in different bores from the duration of 2014 to 2021. That what was the earlier situation and how the groundwater levels has been increased. Other initiative for water conservation, like we are using a sprinkler instead of normal pipings. Then how we are managing our waste, like segregating the waste. And then we are having biogas tank also, where all the kitchen waste is going. So detail about that, how many tanks are there, where they are located, then how the hazardous waste is being managed. So how the hazardous waste is being tackled, how the e-waste is being tackled. Then what are the research initiative we have taken? So we have a project, community-based project where we are doing solid waste management. We have a R&D project where we are converting paint sludge into the primer and fresh paint. We have a project where we are converting the plastic waste into the paver blocks. One other project, we are converting plastic waste into the fuel grade products, fuel diesel, that we are converting into. Then the efforts on the carbon neutrality, first why it is required. Then how the university is offsetting their carbon footprint. So like reducing the use of energy by implementing solar energy, by reducing stationary, taking less printouts, reduction in usage of fuel. We have almost 80% we have reduced the individual cars or vehicles. We are running so many buses so that collectively people can come. Then vegetation we have increased. Then offsetting processes in the university campus, again, like how much we have offset the carbon emission in the university by taking all these efforts. So we have also quantified that how much we have offset. Then energy conservation, what type of initiative we have taken for energy conservation, that we have noted down. I'm just giving you a glimpse. But these are the electrical appliances and equipment which are taking energy. Then renewable energies like solar lights. Then carbon emissions by adopting new technology. So earlier, how was it? Then later on, how much carbon emission would be there? Then how much we are reducing through changing the technology. So suppose the existing technology was tube light, and then it was replaced by LED. So how much carbon reduction we have done? Likewise, we have calculated also. Similarly, by other initiatives like carbon emission reduction by solar power, carbon emission reduction by CFL replace LED. So likewise, carbon emission reduction by vehicles. So all those things we have done. Then other green campus management means how much green belt is there. So how much tree plantation have been done. There are different gardens in the university. So as you can see in the photographs that we have quantified. Then emergency preparedness plan, safety audits we carry out. As you can see into the photographs that we have a entire system for fire hydrant. Then this type of trainings are given to the students and the faculty members. Then several other activities for environmental awareness. We carry out several seminars and workshops. We have a nature club over here, so we do a lot of awareness programs under this club. Then R&D projects, as I told, several R&D projects we are doing towards environment and sustainability. Like one is this refuse the right fuel to syngas, recovery of and recycling of used oil. So these type of many projects, funded projects, consultancy project we are doing for environment and sustainability. And then last comes your recommendation under different sectors: water management, energy, solar energy, plantation. And then comes your NHR. So I'm not going to show the NHR right now. So it is just a I have seen a couple of reports from other institutes, and I was so disappointed to see, in the report what they have done. They have simply just counted, number of trees in their campus and type of trees in their campus, and then they have just stabilized it, and maybe a say 8-page, 10-page, 15-page report it is that is not a green audit. I hope through this session I was able to give little bit glimpses of like how the green audit should be conducted and how it looks like. So yeah. So this was about the green audit report of our university, and I hope the process would be a little bit clear now, that what are the objectives, what are the things we need to cover to call it a green audit. To just counting the trees into the your campus, it is not green audit. Green audit does not mean the trees. Green audit is about the sustainability practices which are being done in your university or in your institution, and how much carbon footprint it is reducing through those activities. So analysis of that, assessment of that is your green audit. So yeah, this is from my side. Thank you a lot for giving me this opportunity. I think I took a little bit longer time. I planned to finish it up by 30 minutes, but it is extended up with 5-10 minutes. So yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions if there are, so that we can make it more meaningful session.
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for this insightful session. It is very great and deep understanding of the green audit process in the educational institute. I hope all of our participants have a good understanding of green auditing in their educational campuses now. So it's time to take some questions. I have 2 questions from our participants. Sumrit is asking if there is a need of include safety audit in the green audit.
It is not mandatory. If you are doing it, is one of the good practices to make the your institute sustainable. So it is not mandatory, but if you are doing it, please mention it. If you are not doing it, start doing it, because somewhere we need to start. It is not compulsory, it is not mandatory, but you need to recognize, you need to identify your gaps. So whatever you are doing it, first you mention it, and then you made a roadmap that, okay, fine, right now I'm not doing it, maybe for the next year we'll start. So safety is a very important aspect. So whatever students you are preparing, after some time, 3 years, 4 years, they're going to work into the industry or some other places, offices. So they need to have basic understanding of what are the safety measures should be there, how to use a fire extinguisher. These are the basic information they need to have, and it's about it should be a skill, basic skill they should know. So yes, it is not mandatory, but you should have it. If you do not have it, please plan for it. There is ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि अभी नहीं है तो हमारा रिपोर्ट कंप्लीट नहीं होगा. There is nothing like that.
Yes, I hope somebody get answered for his question. If other participants have any questions, you can please ask in the Q&A section in the down below there. So yeah, we have another question. What are the prerequisites to become an environmental auditor to conduct the green audits? Okay, see, one thing I just want to clarify here, there are some ISO certifications. So when we are talking about this green audit, what we just discussed, so there is no specific standards as such for that. But yes, if it is say ISO
14,000, which is for EMS, environment management systems. For that, you need to have, a certified body. You have to do it through them. And for educational institutes, it is ISO 21001. So if you want to have that type of certification, definitely you need to have auditors which are approved, which are, they can take up this type of study. But for the generalized audit, what we have just discussed, for that you do not need any kind of certification. Right now, it is not there in place. But maybe in future it may come, some guidelines may come, and actually there should be. Say for example, if I talk about particularly in Gujarat, if we need to do environmental audit into the industry, so we need to have a recognition from the Gujarat Pollution Control Board. So we are a certified auditor, so we have that kind of certification. But for institution to carry out the green audit as such, there are no certifications are there. But based on the expertise, if an auditor is in this field, they're working since years, they have enough expertise, you think they are capable of doing it, you can simply approach them. So no certificate as such is being issued right now. But if you're going for ISO one, definitely there are recognitions for that. So if you want to go for EMS certification, you can go for ISO 14001 or ISO 2100. So there are auditors available for that. वो उनका website पे आपको मालूम चल जाएगा. So QCI से उनको certification मिलता है करने. That is Quality Circle of India.
Yeah. So one of our participants is asking for presentation and report. So I think the reports of the green audits are usually published on
Freely
the
available.
website of
Yes.
any that particular institute. So you can just download that green audit report from their website. And the PPT, if ma'am can permit, we can share the PPT with all of our participants.
Yes. I'll send you that, and then you can share with all the participants. There is no issue. And also I have mentioned my email ID also. So if you need any kind of guidance also. So see, I've been doing this kind of activities since years. So if you need any kind of guidance, that okay, how to do, what to do. So definitely anytime you can contact me. There's no issue.
One question, ma'am, why government is not putting green audit compulsory to all companies? That question.
Yeah, that the government can answer that. Probably they would go in that direction. Slowly they are going. Right now, if you go for NAC certificate, what to say, accreditation, then you will need a green audit report. Okay, so slowly they are incorporating. So what happens? Whenever we make a regulation, initially we prioritize our area. So when it is about environment, we go for the most polluting sector first. So what are the most polluting sectors? It can be vehicular section, it can be your industrial sections. So to make a guideline for them is very much necessary and important. Later on, slowly, yeah, they will move towards institution also, and I think they have already moved. So as I told you, right now it is not mandatory, but yeah, certifications are available, guidelines are available. You can go for that. You can take a voluntary action, and slowly, maybe in 5-10 years, it may become compulsory. But these are not the polluting sector, so you cannot put compulsion on carrying out green audit or something like that, because these are the general activity. Even if you are preparing your food, there will be certain carbon footprinting, there would be certain environmental footprinting. How would you put this kind of implication on this type of activities? It is next to impossible, because if you will put it on institution, later on it will come to the schools, maybe it will come then later on to the commercial sectors, the shopkeepers. Every activity has their environmental footprints. So it's big change. It is very difficult, and that too in a country like India. Right now we are not able to track the industries. उनका ही नहीं हो पा रहा है, तो ये करना तो it is next to impossible. But voluntary guidelines are there, and that is our responsibility. So being in that field, being an expert, we call ourselves experts. If we are not able to convince 2 or 3 people, okay, you start this activity into your institution, then what is the meaning? So at least we should take the voluntary step. And talk to your management that okay, let us start this activity. Let us take a small step. First, let us carry out a green audit. Then we'll plan 2 or 5-year plan. And then maybe we'll start with rainwater harvesting. Next we will do biogas. So that type space wise, if we will go, we will be able to. So let us not wait for the government to do. We have to do it for us.
Yeah, and also adding for that point for the industrial view of that environmental mandations from the government. Now it is the ESG sector is boom that all industries need to voluntarily publish their disclosures around the environmental, social, and governance kind of view, so that the investing all investors are now aware how to invest in the company, so that the ESG investment, the term right now is in the boom. So I think all industries will keen to follow all the guidelines, and they are following that guidelines and disclosing their reports. So specifically for our session and our focus for the educational institutes, yes, for the NAC, it is mandatory for all educational institute to have a green audit minimum in 3 years or the 4 year cycle, or maybe every year educational institute can have a green audit for it is a voluntary action from their side. One question from Mahalakshmi, she is asking, is there a need of include traffic management in the report?
Uh, Traffic management, basically, you are calculating. If you're talking about carbon footprinting from the traffic, it has to be included in your green audit. Because see, if you talk about air emissions, from where the air emission would come into the institutes, there are very few activities. One is the traffic. One is the whatever bus fleets you are having. What is the emission associated with that? That is one thing. Second, if you have a DG set, there would be pollution from that. There is no other source. Otherwise, there would be some indoor sources like canteen is there or something, but major source only to traffic and your DG sets. Apart from that, there are very minute sources or fugitive sources that you cannot calculate on any specific way. So you need to have this. Initially, you can start with identification, and then later on, definitely you need to go with the calculation of the carbon emission from the buses or vehicles, whatever come into your. It has to be there in your green audit.
Yes. Thank you. So I think our questions are answered. Maybe we can go next session, that is a vote of thanks. So thank you so much, ma'am, for this insightful and very great deep knowledge about the green audits for all our participants. Maybe all of our participants now get understanding, clear idea about the green audit in their campuses. And the Star Campus Award, the objective of Star Campus Award is to give them, encourage all educational institute to participate and voluntarily publish their sustainability report, and not just do that green audit for the NAC, but for the inculcate all that practices and the behavioral changes in the students and the all stakeholders around the universities. So Earth Day's motto and the vision is to bring all stakeholders into the mainstream around the environmental protection and conservation. And now next year, recently Earth Day has launched their theme for the 2024 is planet versus plastic. That is a theme which is very crucial for us to understand what is the impact of our actions, what is the impact of the single-use plastic, what we are using in our day-to-day life on our planet. It is a bigger threat and very dangerous threat to our ecosystem as well as our planet. So on this note, I would like to encourage all of us to support that theme, planet versus plastic. And from today onwards, I hope you all are not using single-use plastic, and we are encouraging all of us to, from our actions, to not to use single-use plastic, say no to plastic, and support the theme planet versus plastic, and encourage all your colleagues to participate in Star Campus Award and bring their all power to the all universities, colleges, and all educational institute to participate in Star Campus Award and voluntaries publish their sustainability report. So thank you once again, all of you, for your time. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. I hope soon we will have a same kind of session again, and other questions from our participants. I will let you deliver that questions to you. So, and all participants will get all the presentations and required resources from the email. So thank you so much. And by this note, Thanksgiving note, I end this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I'll be happy to help all the further future questions if anybody is having, and you can directly write to me also. Any kind of guidance if you need, any kind of talk you need. So I'll be happy to be there. So yeah, we are from the same fraternity. Let us take an initiative to do something better for the future.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.